Hello, everybody. Thank you for that humble smattering of applause. I appreciate that. Our guest today is an actor, writer, producer, comedian, and film director. He starred as Jody Dallas on the sitcom Soap before shifting to the big screen in films like When Harry Met Sally, This Is Spinal Tap, The Princess Bride, Analyze This, Analyze That, Monsters, Inc., and City Slickers, among many others. He wrote, directed, and starred in Mr. Saturday Night and Forget Paris, and has hosted the Academy Awards 9 times, most recently at the 84th Oscars in 2012. Would you help me welcome Billy Crystal?
Going till I get to the table. How are you? Boy, I sounded all important. Thank you very much. Would you show them your shoes first?
I will show them my
look
shoes
at these.
if people want to see my shoes.
Look at these.
They look like Pixar shoes.
Aren't they amazing?
Designed by Pixar.
And now look at the socks.
Well, the socks are okay too, you know. Thank you.
That is silly. Good for you.
Congratulations on the film.
Thank you very much.
You have 4 grandkids. The most recent one is 3 months old. So.
Born on my birthday.
Yeah.
Born on my, I hate to say it, 65th birthday. You know what? Yeah, I love to say it because I'm here and I am. It's good. And yeah, a pretty amazing night.
And how do the other 3 who are old enough to have seen Monsters, Inc. and
well,
now
he's seen
film?
the little guy has now seen everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a nightlight. When the girls are 10 and 7, and little guy's 3 and a half, because the half now is very important.
It's very important. Yeah.
The girls and I were walking in a mall, and some of these paparazzi, I have to say word creep, jumped out and started taking pictures, and it really freaked them out. What'd you do that to you for? What, and so on. I said, well, I had to explain, what I did, and that I was internationally famous. And well, what do you do? What do you do? So I showed them Monsters, Inc. At first, because I couldn't show them the orgasm scene from Harry and Sally. And why is she making that noise? That was then I was Grandpa Mike. I had to be Mike Wazowski for about a year. It was, they'd call the house, hello, is Mike there? Okay, I'll get him, hold on. Yeah. Hi, is it for me? and that's I had to talk like that for about a year. So now they see me around. There were billboards when I did do the Oscars. There'd be big billboards around holding it. And what, Grandpa? That's So now they're kind of used to it. And the other night they came to see Parental Guidance because I played a grandfather in that. Right. And we're driving home from the premiere. My 7-year-old said to my daughter, Jenny, says, Mom, do people know that Grandma's married to Billy Crystal? So now we're all good.
That's funny. It must be confusing, or it must have been confusing for them at first.
It's confusing to me. Yeah, it's who's that guy? Isn't he? Yeah. And then one time I saw that we were watching. Because they watch the same things over and over and over and over and over again and over again and over again. And we were watching Dora exploring the same thing. And then I was looking at the guide and I saw that City Slickers was on. So I just with the remote said, let's see what else is on. And so ding 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 248, whatever was on TNT and whatever, and there I am, and she just and she actually just said how, she was like three. So now they're cool with it, and I think it's exciting, and it's bragging rights at school.
Yeah, absolutely.
But we try to play it down because it shouldn't be the most. It's. We live in in a town where a lot of the kids' parents or performers or something, and at their school, that we come to read every 2 weeks. We come to read books, and in their school. So, there's a lot of famous parents are there. So we're sort of.
I wonder if they will ever have any idea how cool it is that Billy Crystal read to them in school.
I think okay, but Will Ferrell read the day before, so that probably was cool.
And I've read that you identify with the character of Mike in some ways.
I love this guy. I actually think this is my most favorite character I've ever played in anything, because I don't know what it is about him. Well, I do know. I love his personality. I love that he stands up for himself. I love that he's forever positive. I love when something gets in his way, he either goes over it, around it, or through it, and somehow comes out the other side. And I mean, every picture he takes, it's just the top of his head. But I'm a college. He doesn't even see that he's not in it. And in the first movie, he was on the cover of a magazine, and he wasn't there. And I love that he's positive. I love that he's a leader of monsters. I love that he has a great sense of humor, and I love that he stands up for himself, and I love that he's cranky too. I think that's great.
I'm going to turn it over to you guys now. Brianne will come to you in hands. Yep. Andrew, go ahead.
Hi, Andrew Parker tonight.
That's right.
First of all, one of the things is that Mike has an arc that a lot of comedians and creative types in this film really have to go through, which is at some point in their careers and in their lives, someone's going to tell them that they don't have it and that they probably never will have it, regardless of how smart they are. But
Which keeps happening to us
yeah,
as
exactly.
actors.
Is that something that sort of it triggered any sort of flashbacks to your earlier days?
Flashbacks all the time. I mean, I don't have to flash that far back. They're always telling you you're done. They're always someone's always telling you, especially now when there's social media. It used to be you had 4 or 5 critics that you would look to. Be in television, be Tom Shales in Washington, or Janet Maslin with the New York Times, and those are the ones that I most remember that you look to read. Vincent Canby, I think, in the film world anyway. But now there's millions of people who can press send. And everyone's got a mouth, and they don't care what they say. So, it makes it a little bit tougher. But for Mike, I think the message of this movie, too, here you're watching a hard drive, and yet you're falling for these kids because they're at the tender age of 17 or 18. We've all been there if you went to college or if you didn't, you're making the decisions in your life that are the most important, that are going to someday be the ones that some path you may follow, and you're going to have to be ready for disappointment because not everything works out perfectly for everybody. But you always have perfect dreams. And so when that happens and, it doesn't work out, that's the test of a man or a monster or a woman, is a person, I should say. And so that's why I think it's a great message in the movie. These guys screw up. He cheats. They get kicked out of school, but yet they land on their claws.
Maury?
Hey there, I'm Maury Sherman with Kiss 92.5 and the Roz and Mocha Show. First off, I adore you.
Thank you, my Jewish young friend.
Well said. Congratulations, this movie was absolutely amazing. Now, on our show, the Roz and Mocha Show,
Next question, please.
every single day, Mocha literally scares me on the morning show, in my office, whatever. He could have been a graduate from Monsters University. So I get scared every single day. So I need to know if it's a sound or something, what scares you? Have you ever been scared? What scares you?
I think, boy, this could get dark. But the dark still scares me. But it's not just the dark of a room, it's the dark of the dark. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Well, if you're Jewish, you definitely know what I'm saying. No, I think it's the unknown. It's time scares me. Having enough time to do all the things in my life, forgetting my business that I want to do and want to accomplish, especially now with these little ones, to get to know them and get as far as I'm going to get with them. And we never know for, how long we're going to get, So that fear is a really great motivator, though. I remember in the 2,000-Year-Old Man album, which was always sort of my Bible, others can quote, Proust or Mark Twain or somebody else that it was a humorist and a visionary. But to me, the 2,000-Year-Old Man said, Carl asked Mel, "Oh, how did you get around? What was the modus of transportation?" He goes, "Fear." Basically, fear. A lion would roar, and you'd run a mile in a minute. You know, and then the first songs came out of fear. A lion is eating my foot up. Will somebody call a cop? And to me, that's always, you know, is either to have enough time to do what you want to do and defy the odds, and to me that's okay. So those things can be scary. You can't let any kind of fear overwhelm you.
Has that changed over the years? Would you have given that same answer when you were 25?
Probably not.
Yeah.
Because then there were different fears then. You know, I was much more frightened then.
Really?
Yeah, I think that because I didn't know where I was going, and now I sort of know where I've been. What was the old thing? If you can remember the '60s, you weren't there.
Really there.
Yeah, and I just think that, you know, I still have such a good time and such a hunger to create more things. I mean, I'm 65 just recently, and I'm busier now than I've been in years, and some by choice.
Yeah.
You know, I hadn't made a movie in 10 years because I didn't really have anything that was good, and I was loving doing my one-man show.
Which you reviving.
But going back in November, yeah.
And are you bringing that to Toronto, or will you bring that to Canada at all?
No, we did. We were here for 2 weeks originally. It was the first spot on the first jump off on the first national tour, and we had a fantastic time here at the Cannon Theater. Great audiences here, and no, we'll just be at the Imperial Theater, which you have to come. Please come and see this because it's really going to be the last time I'm going to do this, and it's at the incredibly beautiful Schubert House. It's the Imperial Theater. To me, it means a lot because I saw Zero Mostel do Fiddler on the Roof there in 1964 when I was still in a junior in high school. And so to get to share that same atmosphere with a legend like him means a lot to me.
Next question? Yeah, go ahead, Sean.
I'm Mr. Crystal, Sean Plummer, MSN Canada.
Good hat, man.
Thank you very much. And hides a multitude of sins. Obviously, Pixar delivers top-shelf entertainment, so I imagine when they came to you with a great script. But that said, how protective were you of the legacy of the first film in terms of the quality of the second?
Good question. But first of all, you have to just know that you're in great hands with him. It's just a level of trust. And the second of all, you don't get a script. The way John Lasseter, who is our Walt Disney, this man has created a life for all of us to go to in the film world with this amazing kind of imagination that I think even Mr. Disney himself would just say, wow. You know, it's a stunning world that he's created with this level of entertainment that you can bring everybody to and feel safe going to a movie with your whole family. That's a real extraordinary gift to all of us. And it was at his 50th birthday party, and it surprised him. And he came up to me and said, and it's 12 years later, you know, we came out in 2001. And so this is about 3.5 years ago or something. He said, we're going to make a sequel, but it's a prequel. They're in college. And he walked away. and that was it. And I just started laughing, going, wow, it's going to be good. Wow, a great idea. How did they become friends? What a great place to put them in at that age of decision making, and how that informs who you are. So that's all I know. The level of secrecy on these scripts is astounding. We've sort of got an outline. It was sort of akin to working with Woody Allen when I did Deconstructing Harry. You basically only get your pages and a handwritten note from him to say what he wants, and I'll see you there. Do you want to do this? And you just, again, I'm going. But this one, the first one, was such a good movie and a brilliant concept that this, coming back with this concept, you knew it would be great. And you then, the night before you show up for the first session, you get hand-delivered the script, and then it's all watermarked with special paper and all kinds of stuff, and you have to give it back the next day. And when you give it back, it's shredded like in front of you and stuff, so it doesn't get out to Nikki Fink or any of those journalists. And talk about monsters in the closet. And I don't mean that in that way, and that's sort of the secrecy of it. But what they do, and I will answer your question, as Larry Gelbart, the great Larry Gelbart, once said to me, I know what I'll think when I say it, is that they're constantly reworking the story. So my first session with John was about 4 hours long, and we did the opening and so forth, and it was a very different opening than it is now, because 3 months later we redid it again, because they said, it's not working the way we want. So they're always rewriting. They take it back to this amazing university up in Emeryville, California, and if you've all been there, you see it's phenomenal. If not, next junket, make sure you get on the list. It's the most creative place you can imagine. And it's like Monsters, Inc. It's this big factory of fun. And then they work, and you see very rough, sort of badly drawn computer animation, mostly stick characters. It's kind of strange looking. And they try it out. And then they come back and they keep polishing. So they're always working the story. They're always rewriting the story, right till the very end. I finished about 2.5 months ago. And so I worked about 2 years, just about 2 years on it. And it's like about every 3 months, and you're always rewriting.
Go ahead, Ann.
Hi, Anne from Monsters and Critics. Billy,
Can you hold it a little closer? I can't hear you.
Anne from Monsters and Critics. Working on animation is always isolated, but you said you were working with John. You mean Lasseter or Goodman?
With John Goodman.
Okay, so you weren't alone.
No, we always work together. On the
that's
first
the first
movie, I came in my first day, and he wasn't there. And they played his tracks of the scene. So I went, this is not good, because I can't go off and, if a thought occurs to me to improvise something, he's already locked into the dialogue and the tone of how he's going to play the scene, so I'm just sort of reacting to him, so it's not going to be natural. Can he come in? Where is he? I said, oh, he's in town. He was here yesterday. So we called him. And I said, do you want to work together? He said, are you kidding? I'll be there in this. And he came over, and we started working together. And they had not done it before. Tom and Tim had not worked together on Toy Story. And it just seemed like a natural. So we just insisted on being together. So when we're together in scenes, we're pretty much this close. And we're really acting together. You've seen the movie, yes? All right, so the funny moments have a great repartee because we're with each other. And the tender moments, like the scene at the lake, when Mike realizes it's not going to be, and he tells him, well, we're friends, I'm your friend, he says, am I scary? He said, no. Well, why don't you tell me this? Well, because we weren't friends before. Is heartbreaking. And you're watching a hard drive, but they're so real. And the artwork is so beautiful. I mean, you take it for granted, about how genius their animators and the execution of the animation is. When Mike looks at his reflection in the lake and then puts his hand and it goes away, it's like, took months to do that, So we work together, and I think that's why it plays pretty well, I think.
I think one of the interesting things about the animation here is that the characters actually do look younger. They look but they actually do look much younger.
Yeah, they do what I have trouble doing. I have no neck, and I have no neck, and no, I have nothing else. I just have an eye, and not much to work with. And they somehow bring it to life. They videotape me when we're working, and somehow they've caught my hands, and they've caught certain movements of my brow here, and it's extraordinary. And they trimmed John down and gave him sort of like a little mullet or something. Yeah.
Go ahead, Gloria.
Gloria Martin, 680 News and Rogers National. How does your own
Is
university...
that how you sign off?
That's right. Actually, 680news.com.
Live at the scene.
How does your own university experience compare with Mike's?
Oh, nothing like it as far as the campus world and all of that stuff. I've finished up at NYU in the film program, but my fraternity was the theater. When I got into the theater in a junior college, and that they became my fraternity. They became my campus family, and you had your nerds in that who were usually the tech, the light and sound crew, and the set design. And it's really interesting how it breaks down. Then there are the actors and the directors, and so that was my place. I was not like Mike at all. I was very shy my freshman year. I was hopefully a young baseball player in West Virginia at a little school called Marshall University, and it was sort of an isolated place for me, and a wrong choice. But I was there to play ball, and then I ended up becoming a disc jockey on the campus radio station. And I think I gave Disney a picture. They wanted, do you have a picture of you in college? And that's the only one I really had, is me at the door of WMUL, the voice of Marshall University. So I was sort of like that. So, Mike, I sort of became Mike-ish in the theater department, where we started to really act and want to, we're 18, 19 years old, like they are. But we built our own theater, and we took the lead in that with a bunch of other people, and we actually formed our own Actors Equity Company, Summer Stock Company, and that's where I got my Actors Equity card. And it's really interesting, and the school was called Nassau Community College, and it was on an old abandoned Air Force base. And so they had these huge airplane hangars. It was right near where Lindbergh took off to fly to Paris. He left from a place called Roosevelt Field, which was right across the highway. So we took one of these hangars with a huge sliding doors, and turned it into an indoor-outdoor theater where you could seat 2,500 people on the runway and watch these shows. And we built the stage and made our own. It was called a Z Company of Summer Stock, and that's where I got my card. And we all did it together, and it was a fantastic accomplishment.
What kind of shows would you do? Were they big musicals? Were they
Finian's Rainbow?
Yeah.
One of the few Jewish leprechauns who have to. Oh, my heart is beating wildly. That's. And my wife of now 43 years was Susan the Silent in that. And when I'm not near the girl I love, there was tears, nothing but tears. We did Death of a Salesman, which was great, with a 17-year-old playing Willie Loman with his hair sprayed. I just got back from the woods are burning, boys. And but then we just sort of standard summer stock fare, The Odd Couple and stuff like that. But then as we got older, we did a really fine production of Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead. I was Rosencrantz in that, and that was directed by, we brought in some Broadway directors to work with us and had guest actors work with us, like some good names. Ray Milland came and did play it, and Michael Dunn, and some others, and it was really fantastic time.
Wow. I'll turn it back to you. I could talk about that all day. We'll go here. Go ahead.
Matt Joseph from We Got This Covered. So I was just wondering, when you do comedy, a lot of it's usually in your face, body language. So how hard is it to convey comedy when you're just using your voice and that's all you have to use?
Yeah, but I know this guy, and it's what what he looks like and what he's going to do, and the stuff is funny, but it's the energy of it that Mike is more energy than he is anything. So it's really, you think of we're on our feet really pushing it. We have 4 to 6 hour days. 4 to 6 hour days. You're exhausted by the end of it, and usually at the end of it's when we're going to do 45 minutes of just screams now. So, when you see those days, the scream days, you go, hey, put them at the end. So it's the hardest thing for me is and that's why the director of these movies is so important. And this Dan Scanlon directed this, who's like a hipster. He's like a 50s hipster. He's a young guy, really funny, but he would paint the picture for us, and sometimes literally with paintings, these beautiful computer-generated, they look like oil paintings of where we are. So I know what the dorm looks like. I know what the frata, I know what the hall where Alfred Molina, who's great in it, is our teacher. you know, in that beautiful hall, what they look like, and who we're acting with, what Helen Mirren looks like in the, you know. So we're surrounded by at least renderings of them. That, to me, that's the hardest thing, is where am I, what am I doing? And an interesting character emerged from it has two moments in this movie. On the first day of school, and if you stay through the total end of the credits, he has a little tag, and that's this slug character. And in the first movie, with Pete Docter, who directed that, who won an Oscar for Up, and we're walking. He said, "All right, so now you're walking through Monsters Inc." And you know, we had pictures of the scare floor, and I said, "Well, could I walk by like I don't know, like a big slug that like oozes stuff?" And he went, "Okay, we can do that. To do it." So there was some line about it, and I don't know, and then he ended up being this thing. And now you see him younger. "I'm late for class."
Yeah.
And he just goes like that, and then he shows up. If you look at the very end of the movie, he finally arrives, and it's the school's over, you know. So you got to sit through all the credits, which was, you know, apropos the joke about, you know, this guy's home alone, and the doorbell rings, and he opens the door, and there's a snail there, and he goes, "What is this?" And he picks it up and he throws it away. 2 years later, the guy's home watching TV. The doorbell rings. He opens it up, and there's the snail, and the snail goes, "You want to tell me what that was all about?"
We just have time for a few more questions, so I'll go right here. Yep.
Laura Grande from Today's Parent Magazine. You, as a result of this character, have a much younger new fan base. Can you recall any particular interactions you've had with some of your new younger fans that were particularly memorable?
Yeah, that started on on Parental Guidance, where my nickname in that was Farty. So now because I play a guy named Artie, but my grandson called me Farty. So now at least I don't get "You Look Marvelous" anymore. I get Fartied, which I'm not sure is what's better. And now when the kids know that I'm Mike Wazowski, it's a whole different thing. But some of them can't make the determination of what's the movie and how could I be this guy, but aren't you green and don't you have one eye? Because they buy these movies as that they're real.
Right.
You know,
I guess you have to come up with some stock answer at night. I turn into that at night or something. I don't know, you know?
Yeah, that's what I am. I'm him only at night. A 4-year-old can really grasp that.
You know, listen, I'm trying
vampire
to be helpful.
No, it's good.
Go ahead, Zoraida. Yep.
We'll get everybody. Don't worry.
Yeah, we'll get everybody. Yeah, Zoraida, go ahead. Bree, yeah. Well,
Oh, he can go. He's already got the mic. Don't. No, we're gonna.
And we'll come to you next.
No,
Zoraida.
because then he's gonna write. I was so pissed off.
I'll give it to
that
Zoraida
they had the
next.
microphone and they took it away, and they'll blame me.
Hey, Billy. Rob Leth from Global News. Thanks for taking my question. When you first made Monsters, Inc., at what point in the process did you know what Mike looked like, and how did you feel about being a small green guy with one eye and not scary?
I knew about. John called me and said, and it was really interesting. I got a phone call and said, John Lasseter is on the phone. So I just picked it up and I said, whatever it is, yes. And where are you? Oh, he said, I want to come over and talk to you. So I said, where are you? He said, I'm actually like on your block, where my office is. I said, come on. He was there in like 30 seconds later. He was outside. And he said, we have a thing. It's called a new movie. We want you to play this guy. And here's what he looks like. And from a little, like a cake box, he took out, and it's gray. I forget what they call them. A maquette. Yes. And he took it out, and there was this guy. There was Mike. And I just looked at him, and I just, wow. He told me the story, which I went, wow. It was such a mind-blowing idea of what's in the closet. This is their profession. The whole concept of the doors. He showed me photographs. I thought it was the most insanely brilliant concept of fear, and what is that? It was amazing to me that they could think of this to make into a story that kids would not be scared of, but would eventually love these guys and break down their fears. You know. So I knew what Mike looked like right away. What he sounded like was a challenge. Well, what could he be? And then he said, well, we've done some screen tests with you. So he gave me, at that point, it was a cassette, a VHS cassette. It was that long ago? It was 12 years ago, more than that. And there was pretty much this Mike, but they took scenes from movies and put those scenes into Mike's face. So lines from Harry and Sally about the stupid wagon wheel coffee table, but he was actually standing underneath a wagon wheel coffee table. Was this little guy, and then that didn't sound right, and so on and so forth. And then I had done a character with Christopher Guest on SNL, and it was Willie and Frankie. They were masochists. I hate when that happens,
Right,
guys.
yeah.
And that I went, oh, but that guy could be in there, and so it I hate when that became sort of Mike's voice.
Zoraida?
Hi, Zoraida Ullman, CTV News. What are some of your favorite impersonations, and can you do some for us?
Oh, this isn't a show, but I never really did a lot of them. The ones that were important to me when I first started was Howard Cosell and Muhammad Ali. When I did Ali, that was my first television show ever, and he was standing like right next to me, and I did him, and I was still a substitute school teacher who was starting to become a comedian. I got by accident got this appearance on a television show with him, and started doing him, and he went crazy, and it was phenomenal bonding experience for us. And so I started doing him, and I got to Ali because I was trying to do Marlon Brando and The Godfather, and the voices sort of bled into each other. Michael, I never wanted this for you. Never wanted to be the greatest of all time. So they sort of and then the only other one was Sammy Davis Jr. on SNL. Which I was Sammy's opening act. I worked with him. One of the greatest experiences of my life was doing a month with him in Lake Tahoe. That was an extremely important experience for me, to be that close to a true genius on stage. It was... most of you are too young to remember him at his height because he wasn't that tall. But the genius of Sammy Davis Jr. on stage as really the first guy who could do everything. And when I was growing up, he was our Michael Jackson. But he was cooler because he could sing, he could dance, he could do impressions, he could play instruments. He did everything, and he could be really funny. And the whole persona of the cool thing, the Rat Pack, the cigarettes, the big glasses, the knee-high boots, and the Nehru thing, and all. He was just like a cool throwback. Yeah. Now he's, and so I would go on at 8:00 and be off at 8:28, and then I would get to the dressing room, usually around 7 for an 8:00, like an hour alone. Sammy would be there at 5, and because he loved being close to the stage, and he'd sit there, sometimes alone, sometimes playing backgammon with a couple of friends just to relax. But he needed that environment. So when I heard he was getting there at 5, I started coming at 5:15, 4:45, and we would just talk. And he was the greatest storyteller that you could ever imagine, and the stories were about the Rat Pack. The stories were about Sinatra. The stories were about getting high with Gary Cooper. That was like one of the first stories you told. So when you're in a room with him, you just can't help but start to inflect and do the things that he would do. And it was exciting. And it was amazing experience to work with him. So then I was doing SNL, and I started doing him. And that was a very satisfying one to pull off, because, at the time it was a white guy in makeup doing it, but it was done with love and affection, and so that was a great thing to do.
We really just have time for
But I
one.
want to make sure she gets it
Okay.
and he does it.
Okay, we'll do those two, okay? Let's, either way. Yep, start right there.
Hi, Dana Kirk from Phase Magazine. I feel like this movie really focuses on the importance of believing in yourself, but also the importance of having somebody else believe in your potential. Did you have somebody like that when you were first starting out?
Yes, I have. That's a good question. A number of people, but most important is my wife Janice, who we've been together since 1966. So any time of anything good or bad, she's there, and any moment of self-doubt lets me have them, and then talks me out of them. And that's the most important. And then, along the way, of course, managers and agents, and I'm blessed that I've been with the same people since 1974, who are my second family, And so it started with a man named Buddy Mora and Larry Bresner, continues with David Steinberg, who's here today. And not only are we a good team that way, but we're really dear friends. And it also, you need to, be told the truth, good or bad, and it has to be done in the right way. And you also have to have somebody who just, that is always going to be there for you. And in that way, you can make mistakes, but they don't seem as bad. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So and also along the way, my audiences, very comforting always to know that somebody wants to see you. And, when we opened on Broadway with 700 Sundays originally, we became, I'm not saying this is to blow smoke, but we became the highest grossing non-musical in Broadway history for this little one-man show. And think of all the plays that have been on and something. And so that was unbelievably comforting and supportive that people wanted to see me and see this story about a family. That's always great, is to know that they're out there. Because I can keep putting this stuff out, but if no one's going to see it, what's the point? So as far as people supporting you and being around you, I also have to say my audiences, for sure.
Right here, last question.
Chris from Hello Magazine. You kind of touched on this, but I just wanted to get your take on the importance of friendship in your own life. And 43 years is amazing. I'm 11 years. And just wondering, you kind of touched on it at the beginning, but what's the secret there?
I thought you were going to say, and I'm done. 11 years, and I'm just pooped. What's the secret? Between Janice and I? Friends? My all right, that's two separate things. Well, first of all, she's the greatest friend you could ever imagine for anybody. But my friends, in life, are all my high school pals. My best friends are my early friends, because they really love you as your friend. It's not because I've done some, and I have some really great friends who, you get new ones as you go along. And I value them because they're honest and that they're devoted to you and they stick by you and they make you feel better when it's bad and they make you feel better when it's good. But they keep it in a reality that's not, oh my God, it's sort of, that's what I do, and I applaud what they do no matter what they do. And so I think that especially as you get older, real friends are the greatest treasure you can have besides your family, because it's really kind of great to be able to pick up a phone and go, I'm not feeling so good today, and not have to pay somebody $100 for the session.
That's our time. Billy Crystal, thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks.
The movie
Thanks for
opens
doing
on
this.
Friday.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.